Tá, mas tu vai fazer alguma coisa ou não?
Não. Tu vai achar que a gente travou, né?
Aham, vamos achar que a gente travou.
Tô esperando as
Vamos dar oi.
pessoas entrarem.
Eu
Oi,
vou dar oi pras
pessoal.
pessoas agora. Oi, pessoal, tudo bom?
Peraí. A gente começou agora. Tá. Ou não é fácil tocar isso no tempo?
Sabe de onde é que eu...
Oi?
Bom, sabe quem que compôs isso aí agora, né? Porque eu já te falei, né? Quem que
Ele
é,
é do
então?
Texas, né?
Ele é do Texas, na verdade, ele é de uma
Eu
cidade
sabia.
chamada...
Ele é de
Sério?
Texas?
Ele é do
Isso não é
Texas,
pesquisa.
ele é de uma cidade chamada Texarkana, que é na divisa entre o Texas e Arkansas. Mas ele é do Texas. Uhum.
Eu vi. Por isso tu tá
É...
tocando isso, é pra te homenagear.
Tem um monte de gente também que não sabia que ele era negro. Sabia?
Eu não sabia também.
Viu?
Não sabia.
Um dos muito importantes da história. Também. Ah. Mas é o cara do ragtime.
Nossa.
Fazia vários
É.
ragtimes. É. E aí, Bruno, alguma novidade hoje antes da gente começar?
Não, acho que não. Tá frio aqui. Boa
Quantos
noite,
graus tem?
pessoal. Eu nem dei boa noite ainda. Eu nem sei quantos graus
É
tá,
mal
mas...
educado.
Boa noite, gente. O pessoal que tá entrando. Boa noite, Luciana. Comentem boa noite, pessoal.
Tá, peraí.
O que mais? Vai comentar, né?
Não tem nada de legal acontecendo na
Deixa
tua vida.
eu...
Oi, Sônia. Tudo bom? Boa noite.
A Sônia deu oi já.
A Sônia tá sempre assistindo. Muito obrigado por estar sempre presente nas nossas lives.
Sejam como a Sônia.
Sejam como a Sônia.
Você perguntou se não tem nada importante acontecendo?
Na tua vida, que tu quer compartilhar com a gente.
Ai! Sério, eu tô enrolando. Enrola aí que eu tô organizando um negócio aqui.
Putz, nossa, parece o Matheus quando fala, não, enrola, enrola, enrola.
Conta aí uma piada.
Putz, não tem uma piada boa pra contar. Eu não quero contar piada de violista, não quero. Não tô no clima pra isso.
Chega já, né? Chega uma hora
Já
que
chega. Tava vendo se eu tinha piada de alguma outra coisa, mas não quero desrespeitar as pessoas. Tipo, de outros instrumentos e tal. Eu tinha
Na verdade, é melhor não fazer piada, né? De nada.
não, deixar as piadas...
Melhor mesmo, sabe o quê?
Hum,
As piadas de tio, assim.
tipo, os
E não
pavês pra
fere...
comer, assim.
não fere ninguém, né?
Exato.
Não acha?
Eu acho legal. Assim, fere o tio, né? Mas os outros não ferem.
Não entendi. Fere o tio?
Não, é tipo, piada de tio, tu diz que não fere ninguém, né? Fere só a reputação do tio.
Ah, tá.
Sacou?
Entendi.
Ou eu tô travando pra ti de alguma forma?
Não. O
Não,
que? Tá
beleza.
travando pra ti?
Não, foi só um momentinho, assim, mas eu acho que deve ser a minha internet, então. Internet que é um... Não tá
Sei,
fácil.
porque eu tava editando as coisas aqui, mas eu tô na área agora.
Você tá o quê?
Tô na área.
Tá na área. Esse é o quanto que a Bruna gosta de você. Já tá quase 5 minutos de live e só agora ela tá prestando atenção. Essa é a Bruna pra vocês.
Não, mentira, eu tô ajeitando o negócio aqui pra vocês.
Tu viu? Comentário da Luciana. Transpõe a piada uma quinta
O quê?
Viu? Próxima vez que a gente tiver que enrolar, próxima vez que a gente tiver que enrolar, a gente chama a Luciana pra contar a piada, porque ela certamente conta piada melhor que eu.
Ai, que legal.
Né? Enfim.
Bom, quer começar?
Bom, se tu estiver preparado, né? Não sei se tu tá aí ou não tá.
Tudo certo. Desculpa, pessoal.
Beleza, então com vocês a gente vai chamar agora nosso querido professor Craig Mumm.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. You?
We're fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Boa
you.
noite, gente.
Boa noite.
Boa
Tudo bem?
noite. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today. So
My pleasure.
we really appreciate that. So would you mind starting by telling us a little bit about your background and your story with the viola and with the music?
Background. Well, I've been a musician, a violinist. Started out on the violin, but I quickly realized that the viola was a far superior instrument and switched to the viola. But my family is musical. My father was concertmaster of the Milwaukee Symphony in the United States. And when I was a kid growing up, I always thought everybody's parents were musicians. It didn't occur to me that there were other jobs. So it was a very natural thing. But I loved music, so I continued with the violin, and I went to college, played the violin and viola. Took auditions and won some jobs. I played in the opera in Chicago, the Lyric Opera of Chicago, for 6 years. I played with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. I played with the Grant Park Orchestra in Chicago. I played for a short time in a chamber orchestra in Essen, Germany. But then I auditioned for the Met in 1983, a long time ago. And I've been at the Met ever since, Metropolitan Opera in New York City. And it's been a great career. Every day I go to work and I feel how lucky I am to be paid to play this wonderful music and with such great musicians and hear the best singers in the world and great conductors I get to work with. So it's been wonderful. Our season was going great until COVID-19 hit New York, and it hit us very hard. So our season terminated March 11th, I think was our last performance, and we've been on pause ever since. So we're hoping to get back into the opera house and perform again sometime soon, but we'll have to wait until it's safe to do so. But what would you like to know?
Actually, do you have any idea of when the Met is gonna come back?
Well,
Just wondering.
we have plans that we're going to start on New Year's Eve, 2021. We'll see. The string players we could play with masks on. The conductors could have masks, the percussionists. It's going to be difficult for winds players, but a symphony orchestra might be able to more easily perform than the opera because we are dealing with singers and big choruses. And the scientists, the doctors are telling us now that one of the most dangerous things you can do as far as spreading a virus, of airborne virus, is to sing. So that's what we do at the Met. We sing. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, we can find a solution, and we'll be back at work December 31st. But we'll see. But eventually, we'll be back at work making opera. But it's been a great place. Wonderful music I get to play. I'm very fortunate.
Okay, so our next question is how to play in an audition.
How to play an audition? Well, some things are universal, whether it's playing at the opera, playing a symphony orchestra, playing for a string quartet. Some musical concepts are universal. Intonation, rhythm, sound, good sound, phrasing. On a stringed instrument, of course, we have to have a nice warm sound, rich vibrato. That's very important. But I would say, having played many auditions and having listened to even many more auditions, the first thing that trips people up is intonation. That doesn't matter how beautifully you play, what great phrasing, what a good sound. If it's out of tune, that's it. You're cut. So you have to focus very, very hard on intonation. And of course, rhythm is very important. Now, when I say rhythm, does that mean play everything like a metronome? Sometimes, but sometimes not, especially at the opera. Our operas are filled with rubato. For example, Puccini. I don't think there's 2 bars in a row in any Puccini that goes nonstop without some rubato, without some accelerando, stringendo, rallentando. Puccini is just loaded with rubato. So those excerpts you cannot play metronomic. So rhythm is extremely important, but you have to use common sense and not just play things square metronomic. You have to sense how the music goes, how the character of the music, the sense of the phrasing. Sometimes it's pretty strict metronomic, but many times you have to phrase, and that's important in auditions. So if somebody tells you, oh, just play it straight metronomic all the time, no. Sometimes, but a lot of times not. Yeah. When you're backstage before the audition, I've heard so many people running through their excerpts, full volume, full speed, running through it, and they make a mistake, and they go over it again. They play it full speed and make the same mistake, and then go over it again. No, my recommendation on the day of the audition. Now you've practiced for weeks, you've got the music all learned. On the day of the audition, you play slowly, very quietly. Just listen. Everything slow. Don't be blasting full speed. Okay, you want to focus yourself and stay calm, stay centered. Staying calm. So many people say, "Oh, I got so nervous in an audition." Well, you're supposed to get nervous. Everybody gets nervous. It's normal. So how do we deal with that? Some people swear by this heart medicine, beta blockers. I'm not going to judge. I don't take them myself. I'm not going to judge one way or the other, whether it's good or it's bad. But if you want to do a more natural method, there's all kinds of techniques you can use to calm yourself down, to not feel overly nervous. A little bit of nervousness is good, actually. It gives a little edge to your sound. You don't want to sound flabby and loose. So a little bit of nerves are good. So how do we control that without having to rely on drugs, on beta blockers? I think breathing exercises are very important. For example, we are animals, humans, and we have instincts like every other animal. So when we're under stress, our instinct is fight or flight, and our heart starts pounding and we're breathing really fast, right? And this is signals to tell our body that there's danger. We have to be ready to flee. Okay, well, if we have that when we're playing an audition, we're going to be very nervous. On the other hand, if you breathe slowly and deeply, your body is telling your mind there's no danger. Everything is fine. The danger has passed. And then you can play. Your heartbeat will slow down. This is just one technique you can use for staying calm. Another very good technique that I use whenever I have a big solo to play, and I find it works very, very well. And I'm right-handed. In my left hand, I squeeze a ball. Why? That activates the right side of my brain. Squeezing in your left hand activates the right side of the brain. And that's, how does that work now? That's the more rational part of your brain. Is that how it works? In any case, it activates the part of your brain that's not emotional and gets you all excited. So I find that helps. Squeezing a ball in your left hand activates the right side of your brain, which makes you focus and not be overly excited. Little tips like this. Another tip I read is that the smell of citrus fruit is very calming, if you can believe that. So maybe before an audition, you take orange peel or limon, whatever, and rub it on your fingers. And that smell of citrus is very calming. There's all kinds of techniques like this. But I recommend the breathing exercises. I think that's the very best one. When you're breathing slowly and deeply, your heart slows down and you can focus a little better. But auditions are a skill that every time you take an audition, you get a little better and better at it. I've won maybe, I don't know, 25 or 30% of the auditions that I've taken, which is a high percentage. Don't expect, nobody wins every audition. I have a friend of mine who's now the principal oboist of the Boston Symphony. He's a terrific oboist. He was our principal oboist at the Metropolitan Opera before the Boston Symphony. But he told me he took something like 70 auditions before he started advancing. He took audition after audition after audition, and then he started to make the second round, and then he started to make the finals, and then he started to win the jobs. And he was in San Francisco Symphony and then the Metropolitan Opera. Now he's principal of the Boston Symphony. But he took 70 auditions before he got anywhere. So it's a skill that you, the more you do it, the easier it'll become, the more relaxed you are, and you learn techniques, what works for you and what doesn't.
Awesome. Before we go to the next part, I just want to ask something. So whenever you do an audition, especially for tutti, how much personality do you need to have, and how much of a soloistic sound do you need to have? Because you're not auditioning for principal, but you also need to have a little bit of personality and a good sound. So how much of that do you have to?
I would always try to play my most musical at every moment, at all times. I don't see any reason at all to play like you're sitting in the weeds. You want to play with a good sound, with vibrato, a ringing sound at all times. No, I would put as much personality in your playing as you could. I don't see any reason not to. I mean, play it in the character of the music. If the music you're playing is something like we do at the Met, 90% of what we do at the Met is accompanying the singers on the stage. So we have to be sensitive and you know, playing the right character. Sometimes it's very calm and small amount of bow and a very quiet sound. But if it's, you know, the opening of Der Rosenkavalier, you have to play with the big sound, the whole opening, and as much vibrato and dig in the string. I don't see any reason why not. Yeah, orchestras would love to, in my opinion, orchestras should be hiring soloists. For example, the Berlin Philharmonic. That's one of the things that makes the Berlin Philharmonic great, because every member of that orchestra feels that he or she is a soloist. There's not a single person in the Berlin Philharmonic who thinks, well, I'm just a second violinist. I'm just going to sit here quiet. No, every member of that orchestra thinks that they are a soloist and they play like it. That's why the orchestra sounds so great.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you. So now we're going to go to the next section of our live interview. So Professor Craig Mumm was so kind to prepare and to demonstrate a few excerpts for us, and he's going to talk about them. So which one do you want to start with?
The
Mendelssohn?
Mendelssohn Scherzo.
Okay, and I think Bruna is going to be able to put that on the screen in just a second.
Now I need my glasses. Almost.
Sorry, that was unexpected. It usually works. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, let's start with the Mendelssohn Scherzo. And you tell me if you can hear me, if everything's okay. People often say when it's a double stop, doble cuerdas, just play the top line in an audition. You could do that. I think it sounds better, and these are easy double stops. I would play both notes. Make sure it's in tune, but I think it's a better sound if you play the double stops. Now, start from the, there we go, start from the string. So, I think you want to avoid this. So put the bow on the string and pull. Okay, let's skip ahead. You have B, yes. Now, I lost it. There was B, yes. Most people in auditions play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 6 and 7, those bars after B. Almost everybody plays those out of tune. So you have to be very careful. Here. So the half steps, the semitones, really, really close, really tight, and the whole steps, the tones, big. If not, it's going to sound terrible. It'll sound terrible. So the semitones, half steps, really, really close, and the tones bigger. Okay. Now let's skip ahead before C. At C, phrase a little bit. Don't come in directly. We've gone from minor mode to major. It's a new phrase. I think you should breathe a little bit there. Here, breathe a little bit too. Phrase. Breathe. Okay, and do the dynamics, do the crescendo, diminuendo. Okay, let's skip ahead. And start from the string. I think that's very important. So we want to avoid, keep it very close to the string, short but close to the string. Keep it very close to the string. Let's see. That's pretty much everything in there. Keep the half steps very close, the whole steps large. So let's skip ahead to K. From there.
Oh, sorry. It's just because we only had the first page for that one,
Oh,
but for the others we have
okay.
the
Well,
entire thing. Sorry.
I'll describe it.
Sure.
The half steps very close. Here, I think it helps to give a little pulse on each bar. It gives a little shape, a little phrasing. Then a little diminuendo. Just it evaporates. Okay, so that's the important thing in that. What's the Israel? What's the next one you have?
Sure. Can I just ask one question? Sorry,
Yes.
about the middle song. Okay, and I don't know if it's fine for us to ask questions about those excerpts.
Yes.
While we okay, awesome. So I feel like a lot of people have very different ideas of the main stroke because of the dots for the main, for the entire scale. So like how much off do people play?
Basically, the wood is bouncing, and the hair. How do you say? Krina.
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 Yeah.
The krina stays on the string, but the wood is bouncing.
So it's not like you're actually going off the string.
No, well, the wood is bouncing, but the krina stays on the string. Let me see if I can. It's like that. It's short, but very close to the string. Yeah, but the important thing is start from the string. So we don't need. And phrase that a little bit. Bum, 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 bum. The anacrusa.
And start from the string, especially when you have those measures just before A, right? Because you have those rests. So I even remember one time when you told me to put the bow on the string on the rest. So dun 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 dun, right?
Absolutely.
Something like
that. You can replace the bow each time. There's enough time. I think that's superior to. Especially in the orchestra, you'll have better ensemble as a group if people start from the string. When you have a leader start from the air like that, it's going to be a mess in the section. It's easier to lead the section with a bow on the string. The section will be the ensemble will be better.
Awesome. So next one we have our beloved Don Juan.
Don Juan. Okay, I have a few suggestions for this. In beat 2, right in the beginning, give a little on the up bow. And I like bowing. Then another up bow. So that's not my invention. That was from Mr. Joseph Gingold, who was concertmaster of the Cleveland Orchestra with George Sell. That was his bowing. Stop the bow and another up bow. Then here, most of the bow at the end. So don't shoot the bow too fast on that. Now, my suggestion on that bar is 7 notes and then 6. So 7. Okay. And then the pizzicato, lots of vibrato, lots of energy. Okay, now coming up, this is important. The articulation is very important. So it's legato, then short, legato, legato, legato again. So I've heard people play it this way. No, para nada. No, no. You have to do the articulation that Strauss wrote. Here also, half steps very close, whole steps large. So that's very often out of tune, those few bars. Keep the half steps very close. Here, articulation also. Every note has an accent. So there, I would put a little accent on each triplet and each tresillo. So it's bum, 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 then 2 accents per bar. Sorry. Everybody's got their own fingering for that last section. What I do is I do all the shifts on the A string. Let's see. But everybody's got their own fingering for that. That's a toughie. But before that, do the accent. Okay, and then the same thing here. Then another uppo. Now the pianissimo, it doesn't say tranquillo, but it should be tranquillo 2 times. Then a tempo. And save most of the bow for the end. Tranquillo again. Okay, then the same bowing again. I do this in half position. Another uppo. Now here, very little bow. So very little bow, like that much bow, really. Okay. And at the end of that, I'm doing half position. Where am I? So experiment with the fingering, but a lot of half position works well on that. Okay, that's done fun.
Is it fine? So, is it fine if someone does the same thing as we talked about in the Mendel song about only doing the top note when you have double stops, or do you think that would be a problem?
No, it's not a problem. You can do that. I kind of like the double stops. When I'm playing it in the orchestra, I do the double stops. There's so much sound going on. You know, there's 4 trombones and 6 horns, and everybody's playing loud. So I want the most richness and resonance. So when I play it in the orchestra, I think it sounds richer. I think it sounds better. If it's not going to be in tune, don't do it. but I think it's richer with the double stops. I kind of like it, but make sure it's in tune.
Sure. All right. So next we have Tchaikovsky number 6.
Yes, this, what did I do with my music? Here it is. Very often on auditions. Okay, the Allegro non troppo. Same thing here. Start with the bow on the string. Okay, now I'm going to say something that you probably think this is crazy. These first two notes have to be with vibrato. So if I were doing slow motion, without vibrato, it just sounds ordinary. I hope you can hear the difference. There's a ring, even in short notes, that's short. The vibrato gives it a little ring. Start with the bow on the string. Very little bow. They're very short, but it's pretty much on the string. And half steps keep the half steps tight. Okay, so at A, same thing here. Those short notes, even those short notes with vibrato. Oh, sorry. So a good fingering there. Go to third position, then fifth. Okay. Then the next one, do a little comma. Comma. Here, I've heard this so many times. Really, 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 really super, super close. It might help to get on your fingertips. Really tight. Okay. At B, I do half position. And a little bit as if it were two voices. Then another voice. A tempo, but think that a little bit as if it's two voices. Okay. Let's skip ahead a little bit. At C, I use second position, half position, second position, and half position. So I start on with a 3. Then half position, another 3. Half position again. Okay. Let me just raise this up. So my fingering is second position and then half position with a 3. but start from the string, and the notes are very close to the string. And vibrate whatever you can. Without the vibrato, you lose the ring. Okay, Tchaikovsky.
So now it's Wagner.
Wagner, okay. This piece, there are a couple different versions of this, or of the overture. At the Met, we play it with the entire opera, of course, which is about almost 5 hours long. And the overture, we play the Venusberg music. The overture is about 20 minutes long. It's a long, complete long scene. But the overture that most people play is much shorter. Okay, so I said from I. Yes, half position works well here. So that's a stroke. It's on the string, short notes, but really in the string. And it's fortissimo. That's the stroke. Half position works very well for this. Okay, then when I get to the triplets, it's very pesante, but now it's off the string. Oh, sorry. There I go to first position, but it's a heavy, heavy stroke. Okay, that takes a little bit of practice. I can see that. Then we go to the molto vivace. Also be careful of the articulation here. It's connected, it's smooth. So be careful that you don't play nothing like that. The articulation is very important. Here also, super, super, super close. Okay, the bowing we do at the Met for the next passage is 4 notes, then up bow. Okay, and I don't need to tell anybody anymore, but you got to vibrate all these notes. Anything you can vibrate in there, you got to, it'll make it ring. Here's the hard part. Everybody's got a different fingering here. I do it from third position. For me, the trick is a little accent on beat 2. But everybody's experiment with fingerings. But that's what I do. I do 1 shift on the A string. Then it's stick it in the string. So that's the stroke. Short notes, but completely in the string. Don't take it off the string at all. Okay. I guess that covered most of the important stuff in the Wagner. But
Okay, so
vibrate.
it just looks so easy when he does it. It's ridiculous. Anyway, now
I
it's
played
now
it
it's
for
my
many years.
now it's my favorite one, which is Ravel.
Ah, okay. What did I do with my music? Here it is. Okay. The important thing I think to remember is this is a ballet, and I mean the suites is based on the ballet, but you have to imagine that people are dancing to this. They're actually moving on stage. So I've heard some people play this. Maybe my grandparents could dance that. I don't know, but it's people are dancing. You have to keep it moving a little bit, so not too slow. Uh, the important thing here is to have a very legato fingering, and every note has to have vibrato from one note to the next. You can't stop the vibrato. Now I do a kind of a tricky fingering there. So I don't lift. There are a lot of fifths in this. What we have to avoid is a hole there. So I substitute fingers. And then it moves a little bit more. Oh, sorry. I'm going to do the same thing here. Substitute fingers, so it's legato. Keep the vibrato going from one note to the next. And I recommend a little bit of portamenti. So in the ballet, Daphnis is on the floor of the stage. He's dreaming. Chloe has been kidnapped by pirates, so he's hallucinating. He's thinking about Chloe. Oh, when will I ever see her again? And he's dreaming on the stage. But then in the ballet, his friends come and say, Daphnis, come quick. Chloe's coming back. She's escaped from the pirates. And this is that section here. It's agitato. So very agitated this. And every note with vibrato. And the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 4, 6. And I put a little accent on that last one. So it's at 164, it's very agitated, a lot of rubato. So this bar, I started a little slower, making a cello rondo and then a ritardando at the end of that bar, all in one bar. You've got a cello rondo and ritardando. So there's nothing metronomic there at all. Lot of energy. But I've heard this so many times at 164. No. A lot of vibrato. And do the crescendo diminuendo. A lot of energy. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we go to Bruckner 4, I actually just have one question about the Ravel. So a lot of people they tell us that whenever we audition, we should bring out more our sound because we're playing by ourselves more than if we were playing the orchestra. So my question is, how do you find the pianissimo for Ravel, for example? Like, how loud should it be?
Oh, that's a very good question. In an audition, you have to be heard. So make a difference between the piano and the pianissimo. There were a couple examples in the Mendelssohn where it's subito pianissimo. Make a difference, but don't play so soft that nobody can hear you. Okay, make it I don't want to say a soloist, well, a little bit soloist dynamic. For example, the beginning of the Ravel is pianissimo, but you have to make a good sound. That's probably louder than I would play in the orchestra, but I think it's an appropriate level for an audition. But do the dynamics. You have to show dynamics also. Yes, very important.
Awesome, thank you. So Bruckner 4 right now.
Bruckner, okay. There it is. Okay, this is very interesting. It's con sardina. So everybody get your mutes. Now he writes here, langgezogen. So what does that mean? I think it's more a character than anything. It's kind of a broad détaché. I think that's what he means there. So I think it means basically long strokes and very connected. Oh, this is important also. Start the trill on the main note. Don't do an appoggiatura. No, I wouldn't do that. I may have been a little fast. Let me do that again. So basically it's 4-bar phrase, then another 4-bar phrase, another 4-bar phrase, and another 4-bar phrase. So this is not metronomic. So you have to phrase a lot in this excerpt. You notice there, I didn't go completely attacca into the pianissimo. I think you need to breathe there a little bit. So phrase a little bit. Now a more open sound. Now, what fingering are we going to do here? Do we want to do? I think I would substitute fingers also. 3, 2, so that it's as legato as we can make it. Little bit of rallentando. It's not metronomic. More open. Same thing. Start from the main note with the trill. And so on. So, this is not a metronomic excerpt. You have to do put a lot of phrasing into this. But the stroke is what's important in this long, connected stroke.
All right, so the last one is Beethoven 5, that one that everyone likes to play as triplets in the beginning.
Exactly. This is shockingly difficult. You have to get the character right. Okay, so where do I start in the bow? Should I start here? Oops. No mute. I don't think so. I think I would start close to the tip. Ba-da-dum. And a little lift. Little lift there. Now this is important harmonically. We've got pretty much a dominant 7th chord there. So that E natural, the mi natural, is an important note that needs vibrato. Sure. Let me do that again. I've got a tricky fingering that tricked me up. Let me try it again. Do a little bit of crescendo there. I would do a little crescendo and then diminuendo. A little bit. It's subito forte there, but it's not a hard. It's nothing like that. Okay, so the important thing is to get the character right. So nothing like that. A little lift, but it's fairly serious. Then the variations. At bar 23, let me see if you have it in yours. No, you have dots on yours. Those should be carats. They're more weighty. They're more important than just dots. It's not. They're little wedges. They're a little more substantial. Bum. Now here, yeah, these are not dots. These have accent notes. Then it's forte. Very pesante, very substantial. Okay, let's go to the next variation. Dolce legato. I don't need to tell anybody. This isn't that fast. Every note has to be vibrated. Without vibrato, it's going to sound very blah. The vibrato makes it ring. The 16th notes, the semicorcheas, you have to vibrate those. Same thing here. Do a little bit of crescendo to the dominant chord. Little crescendo and then diminuendo. And don't do the grace note too fast. In character. Okay, let's skip ahead to the fusas, the 30 seconds. That's bar 98. And very, a little bit flautando with the bow. Same thing, a little bit of crescendo going down to emphasize that dominant chord. And there it is, the subito pianissimo, the last bar. So in an audition, you have to show that. So my suggestion would be, don't play too soft, the piano, because you need to have that contrast of the pianissimo. Okay, any questions?
Yes, I always have questions. I feel like I'm so annoying. So when you get towards the end of the 30 seconds,
Yes.
Because you stay in the G string and then you have a few bass notes you have to play on the C string. Do you just maintain the same elbow level and use your wrist or your forearm to just reach the C string, or how do you manage?
I'm doing it more with my wrist, I think. I think I'm doing as little flying as possible. I'm trying to do mostly this. I would try to do this motion as much as possible. You want it to be as seamless and legato as possible. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for preparing these excerpts for us and showing us
Oh,
this.
my pleasure.
It was fantastic. It was so good. I hope people, enjoy this, and I mean, watch it later and just, because I was just taking notes like crazy here.
Oh,
Um,
good.
yeah. So now we
Well,
just have like a few more questions before we end this. So Bruna and are gonna be asking you questions, and Bruna, she has a really good English, and she's always like shy to speak it. She does that right now, but in other interviews, she doesn't want to talk. So she's gonna practice a little bit of her English and just.
her, her English is fantastic.
Thank you. So my question is, what's the routine at the Met?
What at the Met, Bruna?
Routine?
Oh, the
Routine.
routine.
Yeah.
Routine.
Yeah.
Very good. No, I understood. Your English is great. The routine. Well, we work very hard at the Met. But fortunately, it's such great music, and I have such wonderful colleagues that most of the time it doesn't feel like work to me. But our normal routine is we do from end of September until um, middle of May. We're doing 7 performances every week, and we rotate. So I'm not usually playing 7 performances. I usually play 4 performances. Um, I'm the associate principal, which means then that 3 performances a week I play principal. 1 performance a week I sit with my colleague, the principal, and then he plays principal the other days of the week. So we're always rotating. But we do 7 performances a week, and we do rehearsals in the mornings. So every week could be different. An example would be Monday, we rehearse La Boheme in the morning. And at night, we play Barbara of Seville. And then on Tuesday, we're rehearsing Wozzeck. And at night, we're playing Götterdämmerung. And then on Wednesday we probably wouldn't have a rehearsal because we did Götterdämmerung the night before. But let's say we had a rehearsal. Might be Manon Lescaut on Wednesday rehearsing. And then the evening, we're playing Satyagraha by Philip Glass. And then Thursday, we might be rehearsing Wozzeck again. And in the evening, The Marriage of Figaro. So we do a lot of operas simultaneously. And every week is different. Some weeks we'll have 2 or 3 rehearsals. Some weeks we have 5 rehearsals. But it's always interesting. And we have many different conductors. So let's say our music director, Yannick Zagan, is conducting Wozzeck, which he did this year. He conducted Wozzeck with us, which I highly recommend. It's Alban Berg. And in my opinion, it's one of the greatest masterpieces of opera literature. There's not a single note in Wozzeck that's not perfection, in my opinion. It reminds me of Mozart. There's nothing I would change in it. Anyway, so let's say Yannick is conducting Wozzeck, and then the evening we have Marco Armiliato conducting Barbara of Seville. And then the next morning we might have Simon Rattle rehearsing us with Tannhäuser. So we get to see a lot of different conductors, great singers. It's a real pleasure. So my routine is I'll go to rehearsals in the morning, come home, and then I come in at night to play an opera. And at the intermissions, my friends and I, we run to our orchestra lounge and we start playing poker. And we play poker until they call us back into the pit. And sometimes we're passing out money as we're entering the pit. Oh, you owe me $20. So I lost that last hand. But it always keeps it very interesting. Some people, because the operas, we have long intermissions because we have to deal with changing these grand, spectacular sets. It's not like a symphony orchestra where you can have a 15-minute intermission, everybody's back. Sometimes they have to, like La Boheme, you have an entire Paris street scene in one act, and then you have another Paris scene in another act, and it's huge sets, and it takes a long time. So we have a lot of time to play cards, play chess, visit with our friends. That's our routine.
That's awesome. My next question for you is something that I just cannot understand, which is that orchestra. It's really easy to get injured in orchestra, and when I think about opera, I think about it even more. So how can you guys have such a massive routine and play 5 hour operas and still survive to all of that craziness?
That's funny. I think about that because actually at the Met there's very little absenteeism, very little sickness. People always come to work, and very few injuries. For example, I can play Meistersinger, which is 6 hours long, and the viola part in Meistersinger we play constantly. We never stop. There's one rest of 19 bar rest, and that's it for 6 hours. Otherwise, we might have a 1 bar rest or maybe a 2 bar rest. But basically, the violas, you never put the instrument down. I could keep playing. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It's just I just keep playing and keep playing and keep playing. My hands, I don't get tired. This is what gets tired. It's hard to concentrate for 6 hours. But I think the secret is you have to find balance in your playing. You have to be centered. You have to be playing without tension. You might notice I have no mark on my neck, and I'll play for hours and hours and hours and hours. The secret is you just don't play with tension. You don't hold the instrument with your chin. You don't hold the instrument. You hold the instrument with your left hand, and it just sits here. So I can talk while I'm playing. I can look around. I can visit with my friends. Get to that point where you're not squeezing. So if you find a balance, if you find the way that your body works, that you can play without tension, then there's no reason to be injured. That's my opinion. Breathing helps. Breathing exercise.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And now Bruna has the second to last question for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, what are the main differences? The main difference between symphonic music and opera music in terms of the style of playing?
Well, there's only really one difference, and that's in opera. Most of the time we're accompanying. Most of the time we're following singers or ballet, the dancers. I mean, we have symphonic passages. I demonstrated some of the symphonic passages of the Tannhäuser. We have lots of important symphonic passages in opera music. The main difference is in opera, you always have to listen, and you always have to be accompanying. And it's funny, I can tell the new people when they come in the orchestra, and sometimes we'll be playing along, and the conductor will, there we are. The conductor will give a beat, and the new people will play. Follow the conductor, right? But the old people like me, if we hear that the singer's not quite there yet, we're not going to play. We're going to play the way we know it goes. And the good conductors, they want us to do that. Actually, they expect us to do that. So if I'm playing along and I'm supposed to be with Mr. Pavarotti, by the way, I played poker with him. He used to come down and play poker with us. But Mr. Pavarotti, if I'm supposed to be enter with him, the conductor gives a cue, and Pavarotti's not there because he fell down or he distracted by a beautiful soprano or whatever happened. I'm not going to play until he's ready to sing. So listening, it's a lot of listening and being very flexible. I think that's the only difference, really. Musical qualities, skills are universal. Intonation, rhythm, sound. Doesn't matter. You could be playing the girl from Ipanema. You want the same qualities, right? The same characteristics.
Amazing. So now we're gonna go to the last question that we always ask all of our guests, which is in this quarantine time that we're living right now, a lot of people are not having lessons or playing in any ensembles, and it's just really hard to keep motivated with the viola. That's actually why we created this channel. So, what would be your suggestions and advices for people to keep them motivated with the viola?
Well, I'm giving lessons on remote lessons and on Zoom and Skype, and they seem to be working well. So contact your teachers and see if they'll do remote lessons. And they're almost as good as being there in person, and you have to practice for them. Um, Keep motivated. You know what I like to do? I love to go on YouTube and listen to recordings of the great players from the past, the great performances from the past. Go listen to Toscanini and the NBC Symphony, or recordings of William Primrose. Or, there's so many great. Gosh, I didn't have this when I was young, but it's so easy now. You can go on the internet and hear the greatest performances from the past, and hear how other people are playing certain passages and certain concertos. And gosh, it's such a wonderful resource. Um, and there are apps now where you can record yourself and record ensembles with your friends and stick them together. I think there's one called Acapella, and there's a few other apps like that. But you know, send a PDF of the music to your friends and record string quartets. I mean, there's a million things you could do. I have some arrangements for viola ensemble I've made, and I plan on doing that myself, recording all the parts myself, and see if I can put them together. I'm kind of slow with technology, so we'll see if it works. But hopefully it'll work. But I find now with that I'm not working at the Met because we're on pause. I've got lots of time to learn new music, and actually I've been practicing the accordion a lot too. Don't tell anybody, but it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. So, well, thank you so much for taking some time for being here with us today. We're so thankful that you came in and just taught us such, so many things that we're gonna use for the rest of our lives, and especially for
Oh,
excerpts, just because excerpts are also what gives us jobs, and that's something that and we learned a lot about our instruments with excerpts. So we really appreciate that you were here with us today.
my pleasure. It was a lot of fun being with you, and I hope I was helpful in some little way. Great,
Of course.
wonderful to
Thank
see
you.
you again.
Yeah.
Hope
Yes.
again soon.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Tchau, tchau.
Ciao. Obrigada.
De nada.
Era isso aí, então, pessoal. Oh, essa é a primeira vez que eu tô mais perto dele do que eu tô perto de ti, tá ligado?
Nossa, eu não tinha pensado nisso.
Que louco, né? É muito, muito bizarro pensar nisso.
Mas como assim? Dele ou dos outros?
Não, porque, tipo, ele tá em
Das
Nova
outras
York.
pessoas?
Não, eu digo no caso, tipo, que ele tá em Nova York agora, né?
Ah,
Tipo, é muito estranho pensar nessas
tá.
coisas.
Engraçado.
Mas, enfim, muito obrigado a todos que assistiram
Valeu,
a
gente. Tchau, tchau.
nossa live de hoje. E fiquem ligados, porque quarta-feira nós
Quarta,
teremos Jairo
vai.
Chaves. Jairo Chaves. Ok? Então não perca.
Aí.
Alright?
Até mais, pessoal. Curta, se inscreva,
Falou!
compartilha.
É que o Matheus não tá aqui, então alguém tem que falar isso, né?
Se inscreve no canal.
Inscreve no
E,
canal.
e todo. Como é que eu falo?
Isso aí. Falou.
Valeu. Tchau, gente.